Your marriage feels like it's just hanging by a thread right now. Or if you've started sleeping on opposite sides of the bed like it's some sort of border checkpoint. Or if you've ever found yourself wide awake at 2 in the morning feeling like literally the loneliest person on earth while your spouse is asleep just 2 feet away, I really want you to know something. You are not alone. And I need you to just pause, take a breath, and focus with me for just a few minutes. Because today, we're breaking down a framework that's taken years and thousands of conversations with couples on the brink of divorce to fully uncover. We're going to talk about how to fix a broken marriage before it's too late, and specifically, the 3 things that actually work. Because if you're here looking for real answers instead of just giving up, well, that tells me you still care. And that raw material, that care, is exactly what every single recovered marriage is built upon. So, let's dive in.
Right off the bat, there's a brutal truth we just have to face when it comes to saving a marriage. And that is, most of what we've been told is completely backward. We're always told to, communicate more, set up chore charts, force a weekly date night, or just plain try harder. And you've probably tried all of that, right? But it usually backfires. Or maybe it works for about 4 days before you're right back to having the exact same fight. The reality is trying harder in the wrong direction doesn't fix a marriage. It just totally exhausts you. It slowly tricks you into believing that your marriage itself is fundamentally broken, when actually, it's just your approach that's broken.
So, to get this right, we really have to understand the root cause. I want you to imagine for a second that your marriage is a plant. Every single fight you have about the dishes, every eye roll, every passive-aggressive, fine, whatever you exchange, all of that is just the weather happening around the plant. Now, the plant doesn't need you to stop the weather to survive. What it needs is for its roots to be fed. And the root system in literally every single marriage comes down to 2 vital questions. Does each person feel respected, and does each person feel loved? That's the whole thing. When you try to use a chore chart to stop a fight about the dishes, you're basically asking a leaf-level question to fix a root-level problem. You're watering a leaf. We've got to feed the roots.
To do that, here's our roadmap for today. We just covered the root cause. Next, we're going to get into Shift 1, Stop Controlling. Then, Shift 2, Choose Vulnerability. After that, Shift 3, Learn to Receive. And finally, we'll wrap up with exactly where you should start today.
All right, let's jump straight into Shift 1, which is Stop Controlling. Honestly, this first shift is an absolute game changer. You might genuinely think that reminding your spouse to fix the leaky faucet or reloading the dishwasher the right way is helpful, but what you're actually doing is silently communicating, "I don't trust you to handle your own life." And let's be real, absolutely nobody feels close to someone who doesn't trust them. Take a look at Sarah's story from our source material. She came into this process completely burnt out, basically managing and planning everything in her house while her husband had just totally checked out. She literally described feeling like a single mother with a very tall roommate. The underlying issue? Every time her husband actually tried to pack the lunches or plan a weekend trip, she offered these tiny little micro corrections. And over the years, she accidentally trained him that his efforts were always going to be erased or criticized. So his brain did exactly what human brains do. It just stopped trying. Constant control doesn't build a romantic partnership. It creates one exhausted manager and one passive employee. And employees definitely do not feel romantic love for their managers.
So how do we fix this manager-employee dynamic? The alternative is a concept called relaxing into trust. And here are the highly actionable steps I want you to try this week. Step 1. Pick just one single area you currently manage. Maybe it's loading the dishwasher or handling the kids' bedtime routine. Step 2. Hand it over completely for 7 days. And step 3, which is the hardest part, physically bite your tongue and do not correct them. Seriously, let their way be completely different than your way. Within days, you're going to see the dynamic shift. Not because the dishes are loaded perfectly, but because your spouse finally feels like a capable adult instead of a supervised child. When people feel trusted, they naturally lean back in.
Which brings us to our next big step. Shift 2, choose vulnerability. Now, trading criticism for vulnerability is incredibly difficult. Why? Because when we're hurt, we criticize. And when a human brain hears criticism, it instantly, biologically defaults to defense mode. Think about it. No one hears a harsh criticism and thinks, wow, let me just lean in with love right now. They think, I need to defend myself or I need to get out of here. So the very thing you're doing to try and get closer, pointing out what's wrong, is biologically pushing your partner further away. The story of Mike and Renee captures this perfectly. They were right on the brink. Mike was actually already researching divorce lawyers. For years, Renee's main complaint was, you're always working, you never help, you don't even see me. And that just made Mike shut down even more. But one day, Renee dropped her armored accusations. She shared a really scared, soft truth instead. She looked at him and said, I'm really scared that we've become two people living parallel lives. I miss being your person. And Mike? He didn't argue, he didn't get defensive, he just got really quiet and admitted he had absolutely no idea she felt that way. He just thought he was failing at everything. That one single exchange did more for their marriage in 5 minutes than 3 years of their old destructive pattern. Listen to the direct contrast between these two approaches. On one hand, you have the armored statement, "You never spend time with me." This acts like a wall-building accusation. It's focused entirely on the other person's failures. But on the other hand, you have the vulnerable truth. "I miss you, and I'm scared we're drifting apart." This acts as a direct invitation for connection. You're showing them your soft underbelly instead of your claws. So here is your practical roadmap for choosing vulnerability in real time. Step 1, notice that tight, hot feeling in your throat when the urge to criticize rises up. Step 2, pause, just for 3 seconds. Step 3, ask yourself a really hard question. Am I actually angry, or am I actually just scared? Am I annoyed, or am I deeply lonely? And step 4, speak that soft truth instead. I promise you, 9 times out of 10, fear is hiding right underneath that anger. I want to pause here for just a second because I need to acknowledge something crucial. Doing these first 2 shifts feels absolutely terrifying. If your marriage has been full of conflict for a long time, softening up feels exactly like disarming yourself in a war zone. Your core instinct is to protect yourself, and frankly, criticism feels really protective in the short term. It requires immense courage to lower your defenses when every fiber of your being is screaming to stay guarded. But, as you probably know, the easy things rarely rebuild something this important.
This brings us to the third puzzle piece, and honestly, this is the one almost everyone misses. Shift 3. Learn to receive.
In a struggling marriage, one person almost always feels like they're holding the whole thing together, right? Doing all the emotional labor, all the planning, and the natural instinct is to just wish the other person would give more. But here's the catch. When you are constantly managing, giving, and taking up all the oxygen in the room, you actually make it impossible for your spouse to give back to you. Take Danielle, for example. She complained that her husband was never romantic. But a few months prior, he'd actually tried to surprise her with a nice dinner reservation. Because she obsessively checked their shared calendar to manage everything, she found out about it early. And instead of just letting it happen, she told him Thursday didn't work and asked if they could move it. Well, her husband never tried again. And it wasn't out of spite, it was out of absolute discouragement. Her spouse's genuine attempt at romance was accidentally crushed by an over-managing partner.
So your final assignment is learning to graciously receive. The next time your spouse offers an idea, a kind gesture, or even an apology, accept it. Simply say, "Thank you." And listen, this is the absolute most important part. Stop right there. Do not add, "But next time can you do it this way?" Do not minimize it, and definitely do not correct it. Just receive it. Doing this is actually one of the most generous things you can do because it gives your spouse the vital, desperately needed experience of finally feeling like they are enough for you. Now here is the absolute best part, the crucial point that wraps all 3 of these shifts together. None of this requires your spouse to change first. No way. It doesn't even require your spouse to agree that anything is wrong or to know that you're secretly making these changes. You can initiate all of this entirely on your own, starting right today. When you genuinely shift from control to trust, from criticism to vulnerability, and from managing to receiving, you stop feeding that old toxic pattern. And when you break the pattern, the dynamic of the whole relationship literally has no choice but to change.
Now, really quickly, I need to clearly and impartially state a vital disclaimer from our source material. Safety always comes first. Softening, receiving, and making yourself vulnerable are amazing tools designed for healthy conflict in disconnected marriages. They are absolutely not tools for tolerating physical or emotional abuse. If you are in an unsafe situation, please seek professional help and domestic violence resources immediately. These tools are strictly for safe marriages that have just gotten lost in bad patterns over years of stress. We've covered a whole lot of ground in this explainer today, and honestly, it all comes down to this final provocative question. Are you going to keep watering the leaves, or are you finally ready to feed the roots? We know trying harder in the wrong direction won't save a marriage, but these 3 shifts, they actually work. So here's my challenge to you. Pick just one shift, just one, and try it this week. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to subscribe and drop a comment below letting us know which of these 3 shifts feels the hardest for you to tackle. Remember, you aren't in this alone. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.